You are now about to witness the awesome, crushing might of wait for it. Woo! Welcome, my friends. Hey. Welcome, my friends, to a show that apparently seemingly never ends. It is Knuckle Up. I am your host, Eugene F. Robinson. The S stands for shock. Shock, I tell you, that there's gambling going on in this casino. The show started off right. Stigmata. Calling of the just. The song is called Intro, All of Nothing. And I don't say poof until Bob Riley comes in with the words that say it all. Right about now. Breakdown. The march. I'm on my way back to nowhere. I took my time, but I could not see so clear. I'm taking a real good look at you. I'm taking a real good look at your face. Opinion payback is always nothing. All right, my friends. My friends. Yes, I got that from John McCain. My friends. My friends. My friends. Well, my friends. Or like Nick Cave says, well, my unfriend, I'm the kind that holds a grudge. First of all, because you asked for it, I'm going to start the show out Knuckle Up 304 with the Karl Rove story. And if you do not want to hear the Karl Rove story, if you can't figure out how this bends its way back into MMA, if you wandered into Boston Market by accident, rather than continue to complain about Boston Market while you're at Boston Market and eating at Boston Market like every other time you were at Boston Market, why don't you just exit stage right? You have to know who snaggled. Why did I suddenly start talking like archetypical, prototypical gay man right then? That is a cultural pick from a cartoon called Snagglepuss. And Snagglepuss was a top hat wearing leopard who was a big fan of the theater. So he was always, when getting into trouble, he would always say stuff like, exit stage right. So those of you who don't want to hear the Karl Rove story, it's time to leave. Let the adults play. In 20 minutes, you can come back in and we'll talk about MMA. Because it all fits together. Because Karl Rove and I talked about MMA. So here we go. As many of you might know, last weekend, I was in New York emceeing Aussie Fest. It was the first ever Aussie Fest. The idea in general being to take Aussie from the digital space where it exists at Aussie.com and make it happen in 4 dimensions, so that the experience of being there was very much like the experience of spending your 18 minutes a day on discretionary reading on Aussie. Mm-hmm. We have a section on Aussie.com called Good Shit. We had a Good Shit Pavilion in which plenty of people featured in the Good Shit section were there doing their stuff. We have, because we're fairly agnostic, politically agnostic, we had, sorry, right, I'm supposed to starve. We had Karl Rove, along with Malcolm Gladwell. You know, we had Disa Moya, the African economist, along with somebody on the right. I don't know. So I knew Karl Rove was going to show up. Every time they mentioned his name in the meeting about how Karl Rove has agreed to talk, Karl Rove. If you don't know who Karl Rove is, I don't know that you would have listened this far. And every time it was mentioned in a meeting, Karl Rove's name came up. I let loose with the snarky comment like, are we going to have marshals there to arrest him? You know, does he feel semi-responsible for having given birth to Trump? Does he blah blah blah? I was gonna do all kinds of things, subversive, the old punk rocker in me. I was gonna go in there. I'm gonna tell him off. I'm gonna do. You're not doing shit. Okay, maybe I was a little bit ahead of myself. I said, well, at least I'm going to get this guy in the corner, get him at this event, and I'm going to give him the eyes of truth. And I don't know if you do this, but you ever drive and have somebody do something really, really boneheaded, and you will zoom to get next to them, and as soon as you get next to them, you do like this. I call it the eyes of truth. They know that you know, and you know that they know that you know. I don't have to curse at you. I don't have to scream at you. I just have to give you that look that says, I always knew you would fail, but never quite so spectacularly. Or not, and the shaking the head is too much. So I said, I'm gonna pinion this guy against the wall. I'm gonna give him the eyes of truth. You will be found wanting in my estimation to the highest degree, and this feeling will haunt you. It will keep you up at night. It will ruin your day. These eyes of truth. So I'm planning to do this, right? Well, nothing succeeds defensively like a good offense. I'm there, I'm having a few drinks. It was at Minton's up in Harlem, the VIP party. And I see, I'm, saying hello, and, me and the lady are having a good time, glad-handed, slapping people on the back, saying hello. And I see like a freaking torpedo coming through the crowd. It was like somebody in the mosh pit in the old days. Karl Rove. Karl Rove comes right up to me. And one of our deputy editors says, "Oh, Yuji, by the way, Karl really wanted to meet you." So now, bang, bang, I'm like hit twice. Like one, I wasn't ready. I thought I would see him before he saw me because I know what he looks like. He doesn't know. Boom, 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 makes his way, and then boom, hits me with the other shot. I'm like, back. He wanted to meet me. I go, that's funny. Why? And he goes, because you are the man. And you could see if you know nothing else about Eugene S. Robinson, you know that flattery pathetically will get you everywhere. And I feel my defenses weakening, like I'm up against the cage. And I go, well, that probably puts you in the minority here. Yeah, I heard you were the man. Because nobody else has heard that I'm the man here. So you got to be. He goes, nah, I love your stuff. Bam, man, I'm rocked. I'm rocked. They're about to wait. Intelligently defend yourself. Intelligently defend yourself. So I'm like, man, I hate to think what you've been reading, And then he goes, but I've been wanting to ask you something. And I go, yeah, I think he's going to ask me something for the Sex with Eugene column, which would blow my mind. My mind has already been blown. He goes, why do you do that MMA stuff? And I'm like, what? He goes, why do you do it? And I mean, he's looking, he's probing, like he's eyes of truth to me. And I said, it's interesting. Nobody's asked me that for a real long time. I mean, even though technically I haven't had an MMA match in 10 years. I'm 53, so when I was 43, I probably had my last one. But I'm at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, choking guys out, getting choked out by guys maybe 5-6 days a week. That's not that easy. I think it's about exerting will, something that for a lot of people is unidimensional if it's thought about at all, but for me it's multidimensional. I gotta this compulsion to better my lessers. That's what I said. And he looked at me and I was like freaked out. Like I told him something that he already knew. Right. And so then I just say, okay, I'm scrambling now. I need to do a different take. So I'm starting to talk to him about what he's, what he's working on. He just finished his book on the 1800s and he's doing, so I go into interview mode. This is my defensive. This is my turtle position as a social animal and a journalist. Right. So I started interviewing him. And then, of course, people see us together. They jump in and snap off photos. They're like, oh. And then other people come in and the dude disappears. And, I mean, I'm actually kind of weirded out being seen in public with the guy, right? So it's like, what is that thing? What's beef? People won't even want to stand next to you. Okay. So the next day at Ozzy Fest, the very next day at Ozzy Fest, I'm announcing him. My boss is interviewing him on stage and I'm announcing him. And so there's kind of like a staging area where on batter's box, and he's there, and he starts talking to me again, and he's like complimenting my outfit, glad slapping me on the back. He was standing like we're old pals. I mean, like he's really enjoying this, And we talk about he apparently looked up the fight book or something, and. When you talk about, he goes, your book, I got my book. It's just weird. He goes on stage. Now, this is healthily enemy territory. We try to be agnostic, but pretty much, guys who are planning to go to church on Sunday and not coming to Ozzy Fest on Saturday, right? They're not doing it. So he gets on stage in enemy territory, and he fucking kills it. Just kills it. He is smart. He is funny. He is engaging. He is clever by equal terms. Clever, not at all self-effacing. And then I start to realize something. Like Richard said, he goes, man, it'll be better to have you tell the story next week because you'll have some time to reflect on it. And I've had some time to reflect on it, and I am shaken to my very freaking core. I am shaken to my core because I figured out that fundamentally this whole left-wing, right-wing, Democrat, Republican boondoggle is exactly that. It's a boondoggle. Why? Because I know fundamentally, I avoided telling myself this truth for the entire week, that I belong to the fuck those guys party. Fuck those guys. And if you are listening, if you have listened this far, you are also in that fuck those guys party. What do you mean, Eugene? What is the fuck those guys party? I mean, when anybody starts going on and on about democracy, I say, the Greeks thought it was one of the lowest forms of government, that it was down there with tyranny, right? You think democracy is a good idea? Go to Target or Walmart on a Sunday afternoon at 1 in the afternoon and look around to your left, to your right, and you tell me if you think you're sanguine about our prospects for fucking peace and decent living, looking at these people who can vote. I've said this before. Saying like, it's hard to love the common man. Implicit in that statement is the idea that the issuer of that statement is by no means a common man. None, not a common man. If you are listening this far, you are not common men or women. The people who wander in and are like, fuck this shit, fuck this show, fuck this shit, those are the guys who feel an implicit condemnation. Oh, you just using big words because you're an asshole. Yeah, yeah, I'm the asshole. And Popeye can't figure out my cell phone either. So I realized that I am a member of the fuck those guys party, because what he was telling me, without actually articulating this, what he was telling me was, I did my job. I remember this hooker that I knew. It was a prostitute, worked out of a massage parlor, but she went to the massage parlor outside the town where she went to school, where she was going to college. And she goes, what was kind of freaky, it was my boyfriend's father's town. His family lived in that town. And I go, wouldn't that have been, and she told me about how, like, they would go and sit in chairs, and there would be like one-way mirror, and or two-way mirror, and the men would pick, and then she would go, okay, go to room 4, and she'd go to room 4, and there'd be some guy there. And at first she tried to tell me, well, I just gave them baths. I go, how much did they pay? She goes, 200 yen, or I don't know, remember what the dollar value was in yen. This is in Japan. He goes, oh, well, you know what? I'm a man, and I'm not paying $200 to get a bath. I can bathe myself. She goes, okay. I used to jerk them off. I'm not paying $200 for that either. Okay. I used to suck them. I'm not paying $200 for that. Okay. I used to have sex with them. I go, okay. What is it? Don't need to lie, So I said, well, what if your boyfriend's father came in there? And she goes, well, I'd have sex with him. He paid. I'm doing my job. You see? Karl Rove tried to communicate to me. He didn't try. He successfully communicated to me. Did my job. I did my job. And you say, oh, Eugene, Nazis were just following orders. Following orders is different from doing your job. An order is somebody commanding you to do something, allowing you to offset your will. Doing your job, you can quit your job or you can keep doing your job. But once hired to do your job, if you're a professional, you complete the job. How do you think it must have felt to be the guy running things and to be smarter than everybody around you? That's how you become a member of the fuck those guys party. This guy, he's not like in a Devil's Advocate. They never see you coming. He's for sure as shit not that good looking. Was a little taller than I thought. Firm handshake, looked you in the eye. You always heard about him being smart in a certain way. You figure it was an animal intelligence connected to somehow elections. No, the guy's a historical brain, and I think at base root, I would almost venture a guess that he's apolitical. Had he been hired by the other side, he would have done the job for them. He was in college going to see speakers. Nixon came through, Reagan came through, McGovern came through, saw them all. He probably has beliefs of some kind, but these are not the ones that motivated him to do a good job. He's a member of the fuck those guys party. And all of us here are also members of the fuck those guys party. I get texts from you guys. I get texts from all of you. There's an exceptionalism, and there's this kind of this claim. Okay, if you're in the UK, you understand in a certain way that Americans don't. You understand caste, you know, because you have this whole kind of gradation thing with the accents and you understand. Fine. America's like, oh, we're a classist society, whether a prince or a pauper. Nah. There is still a class system, caste system. We've inherited from the UK, and it still works. Fundamentally, people who felt uncomfortable with Obama were those ones who felt uncomfortable with Boston Market. They felt like he's got to be a member of the fuck those guys party because he's so fucking smart. I mean, Karl Rove is disarming. Anytime he says kind of this fat, pudgy guy smiling with the glasses, kind of smirky. Tri-level chess, baby, and he's ahead on all the moves. Why is this man smiling? That's why. That's why. So how do you think it made me feel to suddenly realize that I have more in common with Karl Rove, as well as possibly an inflated sense of self-importance and view of self, more in Karl Rove than I do with maybe somebody who's actually really helping. I have spent this whole week shocked and rocked to my core. You know, somebody once said about people about George W. Bush. He said people think he's a nice guy who's not that smart, and in fact, it's the exact opposite. He's a smart guy who's not that nice. So, you know, maybe there was, I don't think that. I don't think he was very smart. I'm sorry. Just don't think so. But Rove is brilliant. I'm not, I don't know if I sat him down in front of a calculus test if he would do well, but that's not the point. His EQ is so incredibly high. Don't say, oh, Eugene, you just got played. Somebody, you know, you're a cheap date. You know, a guy comes along and he pays you a few compliments and you're besotted. It's more than that. It's like George W. talking about looking at Vladimir Putin's soul. I could see. No, I'm talking about vibes and impressions. I'm talking about 2 days with the guy, one night and a day. The only other time I've been equally disarmed was interviewing Halle Berry. Went into it, oh, this Cupid doll, this media creation, you know, this beauty. I got nothing for you. Got nothing for you, Ms. Halle Berry. And then by the end of the interview, I was like, oh, I love you. I love it. You know, this wasn't even an interview. I didn't even interview him. I mean, he and I were to have a longer discussion, he would say, yeah, okay, Eugene, I know you're upset with me for the excesses of the Bush administration, but I don't give a shit about that. I really don't give a shit about that. And I think to a certain degree, neither do you. I had a single job to do, and that was to get that guy elected, and I did my job because I correctly read the American public. My knowledge of the past, you know, has infected my view of the future, and that's how we want. I have a friend, I'm saying this now in real time, who was Undersecretary of Defense during the Bush administration, Michael C. Duran, for the former water polo player at Stanford. And he said to me at one point, I can see you're upset, Eugene, about this whole political stuff, but you got to understand, I don't give a shit about anything but foreign policy. Another brilliant guy, super niche. All this shit could be happening. And I go, okay, well, I'm not a niche guy. I'm a generalist. And I think, you know, the war in Iraq, Afghanistan, these were wars of choice. Get out of it. You know, Rove doesn't give a shit. Doesn't give a shit. So I have to tell you, you know, somebody said, mention a Kid Nate show because I want to see him. I want to see Kid Nate just go apoplectic. You know, we're not talking about political functioning right now. That's exactly what we're not talking about. I still believe what I believed about the Bush administration. And I think Bush is a dummy. And I think if you're thinking that Trump is going to be funny, you're wrong. Dummies aren't funny. And I'm not even going down this line to go, oh, he's dangerous. Bloomberg said it best. He's crazy. You know how I know he's crazy? Because right now, you do notice in the comments, you know, some guys will get racist with me and try to offend me. Those of you who've been watching the show long enough know about the only thing that really offends me. Racism is your stupidity on parade. It doesn't bother me one bit. Eugene, you're homosexual. Eugene, you are Chinese. Eugene, you are. And sometimes I'll answer back, and sometimes I don't. Why? Because it doesn't bother me. What does it say about Trump that he's got to answer every single attack? What's the matter with you? True power doesn't stoop. So you got to attack the guy, the Muslim guy whose son died, and now you're getting beaten up all around back by the juniper bushes at 7-Eleven, and you don't know why? Leave the guy alone. He lost his son. Oh, you got to attack Bloomberg. You know, I mean, I understand. Your entire platform is regressive, but try looking forward a little bit. Even just to November 8th. Thank you, Duncan. November 8th, the election. Look that far. But this, you're going to go down the list to from the Democratic National Convention, and you're going to respond in kind to every. Have you lost? What's the matter with you? I'm hoping that somebody tweets this out to him, and I don't care that motherfucker on bloody elbow. I'll kick his ass with my tiny hands. Shut up. Who cares? Which is what I told Halle Berry in the interview. She's whining about this car wreck. I go, what do you care? What do you care? You give a shit. And this, I told you there was a connection. This at the end of UFC 201. Yes. I picked Lawler to win. Yes. I said that I didn't trust Tyron Woodley. He was one of those, you got to respect me guys, and I haven't been given my just due. And sometimes he looked super nervous going in. I said, guys like this sometimes, man, choke is their middle name. And I was completely 100% wrong. What he was nervous about was that he finally got to the mountaintop and that he would stumble somehow. But once he did the stumbling that was not in it, I can't. I know what they do to guys who don't do this. Lawler's gold because he brings something that people want to see. Robbie Lawler is gold. Ruthless. He doesn't have to do anything. People know he said Woodley is a competitor. I'm a fighter. Big difference. Woodley knew what would happen to him. He would go back to the hinterlands for a spell. The Phantom told booth there's no place to be if you've got dreams of glory. So he came down and he put Lawler on his ass. I mean, you know, there was a little protesting, but when they showed you Dan Migliotta and helmet and dude couldn't doing the Gumby leg, you got to know, man. I'm sure he looked up at the camera and goes, "Nah, okay, good stoppage." And that's what he's there for. I'm not going to let you get any more hurt than you need to be. You're already hurt. That's why you can't see straight. So his head clears, and Joe Rogan comes over. He talks to the triumphant Woodley. Hats off to Woodley. And the reason I love Lawler as much as I do, heartbroken to see him lose. But this is, I remember my porn star friend, Mr. Marcus, went up to Corcovado and took a picture by the Christ the Redeemer. And he put his hands out, stood in front of Christ the Redeemer, and he put his hands out like Christ the Redeemer. And he put it on some form of social media, and he goes, "This is why I am so blessed." And so this is one of those Robbie Lawler moments. This is why he is so blessed. So Rogan goes, "Hey, you know, you lost." He was like, "Dude knocked me out. He's a great fighter." And in that moment, reducing his loss to like whatever it is, a six-word sentence, that spoke volumes to the rest of us. People are coming and going, oh, he said so much and left so little room that people started to say, oh, those other wars he was in with his lips split open, that these were taking it out of him, that and he had to respond very quietly in his Robbie Lawler-esque way. And he reminds me of a character actor from the 60s, and I'm, trying to remember who it is. I just get, not Michael J. The guy who played the kid, Michael J. Pollard, Michael J. Pollard, who Michael J. Fox stole the J from. Michael J. Pollard. I don't know if it's him, but it's some guy like that. And Lawler, something around the mouth and the way he talks, not Billy Jack or something, but in his very quiet way, what he said is, this is not over. People who are trying to say, oh, he's taking a war, he goes, that's not what happened. What happened is I got knocked out. Like that great scene in Inglourious Bastards, he goes, we don't want anybody losing his head. As the guy sits in his room, sharpening his knife, and he goes, do I look like I'm going to lose my head? And he goes, I guess not. I guess you're not going to. The economy of language that Lawler used was more chilling than any, he was a better man, he's a better athlete. These are words of submission. This is also not the Matt Lindland. Obviously, the ref saw there was some need to stop the fight. That's just comically insane. Nope. Yep. He said, knocked me out. Good fighter. What was unsaid there is not for long. Not for long. Because while you're getting fat with the belt and the wife and the kids and hanging out and eating steak and doing the interviews and putting that oil on your beard to make it all shiny, I'll be squatting in the bush eating rat meat. Now there's a point at which Lawler will be no more. Not in a broad philosophical sense, but in terms of fighting. But considering that the kid's been doing it since he was 19, he's 34 now, that's probably not going to happen. There's a reason guys stay around that long. So hats off to Woodley. Hats off to Woodley, who's going to, if you haven't figured out that at 170 the waters have gotten roiled, you're wrong. And Woodley took a page from Diaz's book. Not Nick, Nate, even though he works equally well for both Diaz's. And you know what he did? He said, just nip that shit in the bud. I want to fight a money fight. I got the belt. Yeah. I got you. I'm sure there are guys down in the welterweight rankings, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess they're there. They're there lurking somewhere, wanting to get a hand up. You know what? I'm not asking for a handout. I'm asking for a hand. And Woodley has realized that there's money to be made in fighting money fights. And not only that, money fights are fun fights. Money fights that are fun fights are why MMA got started in the first place. It's a neighborhood. In my neighborhood, the tough guy was this guy named Hootie, who lived over on Winthrop Street. And Hootie wasn't terrifying to people because he himself was that tough. He was kind of a pudgy nothing. But Hootie, he had brothers. He was like one of about 6 brothers. And the brothers were all, it was like Billy Goat's Gruff, successfully more terrifying. I never saw them. I just heard about them. So naturally, I went over to Hootie's house at one point because everybody would just steer clear of the block. And I just happened to, let's go, nah, we're going down this block. I don't care. And there was a stick leaning against a tree. And I picked it up and took it. He's like, yo, it's my stick. I go, you got your name on it? My friends were like, hey, you guys killed. He goes, I said, it's my stick. I said that. And I said, you got your name on it? And we went back and forth like this. My friend's like, just leave the stick, leave the stick. Nah, what was he gonna? And then I hear one of his brothers from inside. What? Go. I'll leave the stick. I'll leave the stick. I gotta go. My mother's calling me. So, you are not, you know, I went over to Hoodie's house to try to take the stick, not because of my Flatbush Avenue ranking. I went. I was there because I thought it would be, you know, what? Okay. You know, the two questions that guys are sitting around when they're like teenagers: who would you fuck? That's one, and then the other one is like, whose ass could you beat? And those are the money fights. So he just, if you're thinking about trying to depose me by putting a top challenger number 2 or 3 or 4 against me, yeah, that's fine. No. Bisping doesn't give a fuck about fighting Chris Weidman. Bisping wants to get paid, P-A-I-D, paid off. Like, what is it? Fred Flintstone says, OWT, out. So like I said, when somebody loses, what happens is the door opens up into their wheelhouse. You get to see like, oh my God, they're, you know, you get a skill set. Tyron Woodley, the door opened a little bit, and he was like, Nate Diaz got paid what? Everybody's like, what? Hey, how about getting me some of those money fights? I'll be glad to have one of those money fights, sir. Doesn't change your ranking. If you lose, it does. But somehow the blow is softened with 5 million simoleons. So those of you who are hoping that your line and your place in line will be respected, sorry, it's care don't care all over again. Because the guy with the strap wants to eat. Doesn't give a fuck that you're number 4 if it's not going to be a fight that generates interest. And frankly, there was always a possibility that Tyron Woodley was a winner. Have any of you really been excited by his fights before? I know this is not like the Liddell thing where I was like hating on Liddell for a long time because I hated the haircut. And then I realized, man, dude doesn't lose. This is not that. I've seen Woodley lose, then whine about losing, the excuses. I'm not saying he's a crybaby. He's like a pretty affable guy. But, you know, I don't know. I haven't warmed up to him, whatever reason. But at least he's making smart moves now, and I like that. So going down the card, going back in time like Time's Arrow, and I've been doing yard work all day. I can't move. I actually hauled about 2.5 tons of gravel. You know, and they use a dump truck to dump it out. Pretty funny. You ever try hauling 2.5 tons of gravel, a garbage can at a time? Why a garbage can, Eugene? Because I refuse to buy a wheelbarrow. So I can't move now. Anyway, going down on the card. And there was a lot of don't care. So but I had a pretty good night. I lost on the Woodley Lawler take, but I did all right. Rose Namajunas and Carolina. What is it? Carolina what? Kovacevic? Kovacevic. So I called it for her. You know, and you got to understand that when you read stuff about brain drain in certain countries, it's pretty freaking significant. What is all this talent base in Poland? Hey, man, nobody wants to go back. You know, it's one thing to go back. And you know, because you're visiting, because you enjoy. It's another thing to go back because you got no choice. In other words, nice place to visit, not a nice place to have to stay. I did a piece for Ozzy on this guy, Jan Sova, this leading economic theorist, and he was like, Poland will cease to be a country by 2020. Why? because you can't freaking live here. People are leaving, and now with Brexit, Poles and the Poles in England getting a lot of heat. They're gonna go somewhere else, but they're not. They're gonna go to Germany, but they're not staying in Poland. So if you think that Rose Namajunas, on the face of it, was gonna, no way. And Carolina was fighting crazy. 30 seconds from the end, she's like on top, and she's like risking an ankle lock or a knee bar. She doesn't give a crap. I'm not taking a chance going into. Can't submit you. Okay, but I'm scoring points with every punch to your face. It was a deserved win, and she won, and then she went crazy. Joanna. I'm ready for Joanna. And you know what? Funny. It's like, bing, I smell sulfur. And who is it? It's the bald one. So, that fight's got some legs. Fight's got some legs? What are you talking about? Okay, she's number 4. She's number 4, number 5. She's not ready. Have her fight Tisha Torres. She's not ready for Joanna. No way. Maybe something kicks in where people in Poland, like Brazilian fighters, maybe they fight each other's. They just something about being country people. They fight each other. I don't believe that for a second about Poland. I believe it about Brazil. But it's like, you know what? If one of us has to go, she comes from Woods. Woods. A word that I had pronounced loads for a long time because it amused me more than to say Woods. L-O-D-Z is how it looks to us. You ever been there? Yeah. Not you, them. It's because of you that I know it's a hole. It's a hole. Michael J. Pollard, but yeah, that's a great movie. You're right. The guy who just texted. It flashed on the screen for 2 seconds. Now it's gone. My fingers smell like fertilizer. God. Yeah. So anyway, so she's not going home, and then you put both of these chicks from Poland in the cage together. It's going to be something to see. It's going to be something to see. But after it's over, Carolina's not going to be fit for much else, and she's not losing, and she's not winning against Joanna. No way, no how. No way, no how. She doesn't have the grappling chops to get her on the ground, and her stand-up is not going to be enough. What are you going to do? Who is that cat, Sukaju? You're going to Sukaju. No. Let her fight Tisha Torres now. Don't all Poland, unless you're going to do a fight in Warsaw. If you're going to go to Warsaw and do a big fight, what is that, KSW, that big Polish fight organization, that's fine. But otherwise, don't do this. And Carolina, I'm sure, I love belief in self. Speaking of belief in self, Matt Brown and Jake Ellenberg. I picked Matt Brown. Matt Brown's been out there fighting with his jiu-jitsu coach. And Jake Ellenberger knew right away. Jake Ellenberger knew right away what that meant. Just like Tyrone Woodley knew right away what this means. And these are the guys where I fundamentally, like you do know. You do. I remember talking to Kevin Weeks, Whitey Bulger's right-hand man. I always called him Jimmy. He said, he told me about having problems with this guy. And he says, some guys, this guy's, I can't get him. He won't pay. He's dealing drugs. And Kevin says, let's get in the car. And they go to see this guy. And he shoots the guy in the leg, right? Shoots him in the fucking leg. And you fucking pay the bird. He gets in the car and they're driving. And Kevin says the guy he's driving with is freaking out. Oh, man, you shot him. You shot the fucking guy in the leg. And he's like, yeah. So you fucking shot him in the leg. Yeah. You got to relax, man. You okay? Yeah. Yeah, I'm okay. You sure you're okay? No, man, I'm okay. He goes, the guy's still freaking out. And then Kevin's tone changed. And he's like, are you okay? And the guy heard it. He heard the changeup. And that changeup indicated, because if you're not okay, if the next few words out of your mouth don't indicate to me that you're okay, somebody else is going to get shot. I'm going to have to shoot you to calm you the fuck down. You understood at that moment. That guy suddenly became okay. Jake Ellenberger became okay. I lose to Matt. Matt Brown's all right, but and right as Matt Brown's is savage, Joe Rogan always does this. He's cursing these guys. He said that about the Brock Lesnar. He'll rip your arm off and beat you with it and eat you for. This is the guy, and Cain Velasquez beat him like a child. So good to see Ellenberger back, drug free. Matt Brown is doing all right. The Immortal, no excuse, great fight. Okay, I didn't care. I don't have my tote sheet. I'm sure Smirk is noting, even though he's not listing. Eric Perez and Francisco Rivera. Yeah, I like it. I think it was a don't care. I like both of these guys. They fought an exciting fight. It went the full three, but it was an exciting fight. I think that I didn't like Perez. I don't like. Man, I don't know how to say this really. I don't like. I like Dominic Cruz's style. I do not like Dominic Cruz's style on others other than Dominic Cruz. Sorry. There was a point at which boxers stood relatively flat-footed, right? And then Muhammad Ali came in with the float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, and people started moving their legs. They started creating greater opportunities. Do I want to see a bunch of guys doing this kind of sideways stutter step like ska dancing or something? I don't know. I don't know that I want to see it. But I have to say that I prefer seeing Perez do it than TJ Dillashaw. I think Perez has got it, where I think Dillashaw is just faking it. Or that could be me. Where are we now? So Freddie Serrano and Benoit. Okay, Serrano got fucking robbed, got juked. I'm not even going to talk about that fight. Krylov. I picked Krylov. He beat Ed Herwin. Head kick 40 seconds. Bada bing, bada bang. George Masvidal, friend of Knuckle Up. Picked him. Foku, for those of you. Or fuck you. Fuck you. Friend of Knuckle Up. Fuck you. George Masvidal won. Finally got tired. He knew too. Are you okay? He knew what it meant to not be okay. I picked Anthony Hamilton, I believe, against Damon Grabowski. I got in the 14-second knockout. I mean, this was one of those, this was, if I would have to say this was tailor-made for being like, I can't miss any of the off shows. I was just going to skate on this and do some stuff. No. Wilson Heiss said, you should watch, you should like him because he's a grappling guy. Yeah, it's not enough. I've seen the last few fights. And that was great. We were naked, beautiful. And then I think that then the others were not cares for me, right? They were not cares. Even though I did like Cesar Azamendia and Damian Brown. It was knockout. So there we are. What did I say? I said that the show would start at, the show would start at Knuckle Up, 9:38. Oh, I got some time. So 10:38. I got 10 minutes. Beautiful. So I thought I was gonna have to stop, and I am gonna stop early. I'm not gonna drag it out 10 minutes just because somebody makes you believe you deserve an hour. So, but let's recap. Yes, my feet hurt. Oh man, it's 2.5 tons of gravel. They're talking about matches to make, and I'm not so much interested in matches to make because I don't see anybody. And there's no. This was the best of all possible fights because there's nobody out of the money on this. There's nobody lost battalionized on this. Everybody came out. Do you understand? While losing in total is not great for your career, the quality of your loss defines your success as a fighter. Who among us doesn't want to see Lawler fight again, or Matt Brown? No, it's being, you know, it's being what? Iggy Pop. I can live with Iggy Pop being at the fights like he was on Saturday. Iggy Pop. No, he wasn't there. It's his music, man. People are sending me stuff. No, if somebody came in Iggy Pop, you know, the only song that I remember all night was Sam and Dave. Another reason I love Robbie Lawler so much. Hold on, I'm coming. I mean, you know, I did that walkout thing for Fightland for a long time, and it's like, you know, you want something that strikes fear in your opponent's heart. Sam and Dave, Hold On, I'm Coming might be that song, because I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, I'm not saying I don't get it, but I'm saying the opponent's guy can see the opponent's going, you know, I don't get it. So anyway, so Tyron Woodley is looking for money fights against Nick Diaz or George St. Pierre. George St. Pierre is a money fight. Dangerous fight for George St. Pierre, you know. It's a money fight, though. Not as much of a money fight as Nick Diaz. And I can't see Nick Diaz not wanting that fight. Because there's nothing that would give him more pleasure than to come in and take your belt. That would be crazy. If you think he's not capable of doing that, you are completely wrong, sir. Completely. And I would like to see you get your way. Anyway, that's it. I'm not going to drag there. Enough don't cares in the fight that I'd be padding it if I was to go on. But I do feel compelled to close again with the Karl Rove thing. What does it mean to be a member of the Fuck Those Guys party? Well, my total level of powerlessness means that my concern for the little guy is comfortably empty. I can have left-wing sympathies because I know that somebody else will handle the heavy lifting for me. I care about education. I want poor kids to get educated. Well, what am I doing to make that happen other than voting for Democrats? Am I tutoring in schools? No. Am I sending my kids to poor performing schools to you know, increase? No. Yeah, I'm rebelling against being the fuck those guys party, but I'm in the fuck those guys party, realistically speaking. And so all yous. I'm not saying that the apathy, you might volunteer, you might be a candy striper, you might be all those things. Yeah, I got it. But fundamentally, our attitude against those, you know, and I really care about the downtrodden. It sounds funny to even say it, right? No. Anything that violates my sense of fair play, I do care about. I'm not like a Republican who's going to draw the wagons around. You want a good education? Pay for good education. You want good medical care? Pay for good medical care. You want this? I'm not. No. You know, I think it's okay for collectively. Why? Because I'm selfish. I want programs for the homeless because I walk outside and a guy who smells like urine asking me for change brings me down. I do not like it. So I'm happy to pay a portion of my salary to keep him in urine-free pants. Perfectly happy. It doesn't mean I care about the downtrodden guy. So you say, okay, Eugene, if your concern is couch and left-wing sympathies and you're really a member of the Fuck Those Guys party, and you know that, you know, caring about the downtrodden is not the same as actually doing anything for them, and that fundamentally maybe there's no difference between you and Karl Rove, who is just doing his job. Does that mean that you're going to vote for Trump? Absolutely not. You remember, QTAT. QTAT stands for quick time across town. That's it. And I have all the sympathy in the world for the downtrodden unless they fuck with my quick time across town. Oh, critical mass, bicyclist in San Francisco. You want, as I'm trying to get the fuck out of work Friday afternoon, you want to clog up the bridge for some ill-defined bourgeois protest about bicycles' rights? Fuck you. However, if you want to sign some declaration to send us to send, you know, young men and women to war, I'm not down for that. C-64A Hercules aircraft landing in Fallujah full of American dollars. Whatever happened to that, I don't know, and I wish I did. What I'm saying is, if you think that the guys who are asking you for their votes are not fuck those guys, you're absolutely wrong. The best of them are fuck those guys. They're fundamentally, the fact that we're talking about them means that they are all fuck those guys. But there's some who recognize as a fuck those guys eyes that it's easy to throw a few fucking coins to the people below, to Tiny Tim and Lot, than it is to have them eat cake. And that's the sole difference. I'd rather pay a higher tax rate than dare them to have a revolution. But I'm no friend of the common man, and neither are you. The average is called average for a reason, because most people are there. But you don't think you're average. Goddamn right. No way. You wouldn't have sat here for an hour to have me confirm your worldview if you felt you were average. And I sure as shit don't believe I'm average. You know, so that old Robert Crumb cartoon of the guy, the Politico with his Sharpie, with his arm draped across the common man. Just, I'm your friend. I got your back. In general, I want good things for the downtrodden. That doesn't violate my sense of fair play. But in general, I want better things for myself. And that's hard to cut. That's what I've been grappling with all week. Under different circumstances in a different place, that guy could have been my friend. That guy being specifically Karl Rove, something I never would have said prior to. Why? What do I prize? I prize emotional intelligence. The IQ, EQ, sense of humor, probing intellect. That's it. Nietzsche talked about it. Beyond good and evil. These are the Uber mentioned. You know, these concerns that beset those who are stuck at noon in Target or Walmart, not my concerns. And they're probably not your concerns either. It doesn't stop me from thinking that we need to care about the average. Because it's by them that I define that I enjoy the fur coat and the big cigar, the luxury ride that I have. Yeah, luxury ride. So that's it. That's my Karl Rove story. That's UFC 201. That's Knuckle Up 304. I am your host, Eugene S. Robinson. And that is the end of the show. We'll see you later on in the week with If I Did It, because God knows there have been more PR disasters than we've been able to keep up with. And then care, don't care. There's a fight next Saturday. I will miss it. I will miss it. If Georgie B helps me out, I'll see it Sunday, and I'll do it on Sunday show. But I got moms and family coming in, so I'm telling you, I'm going to miss it. Which means all yous texting me, do not text me the results. You can text me tangential comments about the fights, which I'll be able to, but I don't want to be able to glean who won what. But August 6th, I will not be watching. Anyway, it's round 304. I'm your host, Eugene S. Robinson. S standing for shocked. Shocked, I tell you. And this is Knuckle Up. Look what you made me do!